So again, welcome and thank you so much for coming to our Rio info session. It is my honor and pleasure to introduce the Dean of Health Science and Nursing, Catherine Page, who has a wealth of experience in the field, but is also leading the entire division and can speak to our academic programs, but also the changes that have happened in light of COVID, as I know that some of those questions have already started to come up. So it is my pleasure again to introduce Catherine Page. Thank you so much for being with us here today.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm really excited that you are here. I hope to be able to answer some of your general questions, and then maybe at the end of the session, maybe some more specific questions. So there we go. So working in healthcare. So one of the first things you need to figure out is, do you really want to work in healthcare? And so when we think of healthcare, people usually think of a physician or a nurse, psychiatrist, social worker, dentist. There's really a lot you can do in healthcare. You can go in all sorts of different directions. You don't need to touch patients or be actually with patients to work in healthcare. You can be a technician. If you like computers, you can be in informatics. We certainly need people who are computer savvy. You can be a researcher. You can be a clinical care coordinator. Those are the people that know what the resources are that are out in the community or available from the government for people to provide care, and you can coordinate that for particular people. Optometrist. How many of you wear glasses? Go see the optometrist. You can be a physician assistant, work alongside one or two particular physicians. How many of you get your teeth cleaned? Rio Hondo has an EMT and a paramedic program and a fire academy, very well known. So you can go in all of those routes. When you think you want to go into healthcare, you need to ask yourself some questions. Do you like people? You need to like people in order to work in healthcare. Do you like working with machines? Different experiences. Every single day is going to be different. There will never be a day that is the same. Do you like science and math and technology? You have to in order to keep up with everything that occurs in healthcare, as we've seen in the last 7 to 10 months. Do you know other languages? If you're going to work in healthcare in California, having a second language, no matter what it is really helpful. Do you like touching other people? Can you tolerate funky smells and odd-looking things? Speaking of odd-looking things, if you look at the picture of this little girl, if you notice her head is much smaller than it should be. She has microcephaly. She has a very tiny brain, and this is related to her mother getting pregnant, her mother getting infected while she was pregnant with the Zika virus. If you notice this gentleman, he's got a bit of his head missing. He's walking, he's talking, he's participating in life, but he doesn't do it to the full capacity that he used to. This is a result of a gunshot injury to his head. While he's out and about walking around, he does wear a helmet to protect his brain. And then this is a lady that I took care of. This is a tummy tuck gone bad. If you notice the black areas on her tummy, that's dead skin that will need to be removed. And the yellow areas below the black areas is the fat that underlies the skin. So that needs to be repaired as well.
The tummy tuck gone wrong.
Okay.
So Rio Hondo. I took a little meeting for
healthcare is for you.
Sorry.
Then you need to decide a few things. When you go to your campus, whichever campus you go to, you need to discuss with your counselor that you want to go in the direction of healthcare or health sciences. And that will start to point you into the right courses: anatomy, physiology, psychology, sociology. And those courses help you to meet your general education requirements as well as your major requirements. Then you need to find a particular program at the campus that you're in, or if your campus doesn't have that program, which campuses around you have those programs. So then you figure out what you need to do to get into that program. All of these programs require basic GE courses: English, math, reading, history, art. You need all of those basic GE courses. And then almost always you need a basic science group. Anatomy, physiology, microbiology, and chemistry is very often included. Okay, so once you decide the courses and the path you're taking, you actually need to do well in the courses. If you get C's in all of them, that's great, you're passing the courses, but you're probably not going to get into the program you want to get into. So use the resources on your campus to do well. Use the school resources in the programs that you want to get into. Use your counselors. Which courses will help me prepare best? How do I do better in a physiology course than the next person? Or how do I get an A in physiology? Do I need prerequisites to get into that? Use peer tutoring or campus tutoring. Rio Hondo is a wealth of tutoring experiences. Some of the people you were introduced to at the beginning of the session are student resources that we have on campus. Even though a lot of our resources currently are remote, they're still available to you and will probably still be mostly remote in the spring, and we may be half and half come next fall. So use those resources. Faculty. Faculty are not the scary people that they are made out to be. Faculty really do want to see you do well. We have office hours. We don't see you on a daily basis, so we can't just chit chat with you. So you need to call us in our offices. You need to email us. You need to make the effort to reach out to us and let us know that you need some help or guidance, and we'll provide that for you. Clubs. At Rio Hondo College, there's a bunch of clubs. There's an engineering club. There's a nursing club. There's a fire club. There's a police club. There's history club. There's all sorts of clubs. You'll find those support people in those clubs. There's also clubs for people who are first generation to go to college. There's clubs for people who want to transfer. There's clubs for people who are interested in GPS. There's clubs for people who are interested in becoming a pilot. So it doesn't have to be just focused on what it is you want to study, whatever else you're interested in. There's also support programs. What Rio is really well known for is the MESA and the STEM programs for support. So reach out to those support services. Now I'm going to talk about some of the programs at Rio. We have an orthopedic technician program, also referred to as an orthotech program. It's 18 months, including the prerequisite of anatomy. Let's see if I can get us started. There we go. Okay. So at the end, it said the nursing counselor or the health science counselor, Mary Rivera. She is the person most familiar with all of the health science programs at Rio Hondo College, but all of the counselors are familiar with all of the programs at Rio Hondo College. So any one of them can help you start if you have general questions. Okay. We have an RN program. You get your associate's degree, and we do have several partners at the four-year college level to help you move from your ADN to your BSN, your Bachelor of Science in Nursing. So what are the prerequisites? Required by the California State Board of Nursing, you need to have anatomy, physiology, and microbiology. And if you notice, I said some programs require chemistry. The BSN programs require chemistry. The ADN programs themselves may or may not require chemistry, but the prerequisites do. Physiology and microbiology do require chemistry as a prerequisite. The California Board of Registered Nursing also requires psychology, sociology, English, and reading. The reading component, you may not need to take a class if you meet it through multiple measures or if you test out of reading, and that is where you definitely need to see a counselor. What else helps you in your application to a registered nursing program? Here at Rio Hondo and at several other community colleges, we look at the overall person. We don't just focus on what your classes are and what your grades are. So we look, have you volunteered at a hospital, inpatient care areas? Have you volunteered at all with anything? That always looks good. What is your work experience? Are you a CNA? Are you a medical assistant? Have you worked in a hospital in any capacity, doing anything with patient care? Have you worked in a physician office, nursing home, medical transport, EMT, orderly? We're looking for that person who is really interested in going into healthcare and furthering their education, and they're trying to get their foot in the door.
We cannot hear the video.
We're unable to hear the video that's currently playing.
How's that?
If you share the audio on when you share your screen, there's an option to allow you to share the audio.
We will just stop that video then. I'm sorry you weren't able to hear the end of that.
If you send us the links to which videos you sent, we can email the group of students the specific videos that you were showing so that they can hear it in full audio.
Sure.
So since we're having them sign in, please students use the sign in so that we could send you the information, but we can also send you the video links.
You're going to send them the recording anyways, right?
Correct.
Okay. All right. So we'll get back to, where was I? There we go. Okay. Huh. All right, let me get back to where I was. We're gonna scroll through and get to where we were. There we go. All right, we saw that. Okay, so prerequisites. There's a reason why you have to have prerequisites, and let's talk about math in particular. Not everybody likes math. You don't need to like math. You need to be able to do math. For instance, how much medication or fluid do you give a patient? A typical order that you would get from a physician is administer 800 units of heparin per hour. So all the physician will write. Might give you some other parameters, but that's what you need to know. Pharmacy will deliver to you 250 ml bag, milliliter bag, with 25,000 units of heparin in it. So you need to know how many mLs per hour do you give to the patient to give them 800 units per hour? I'll tell you right now, the answer is 8. I know that because I know the math. I know how to do that. Other things, you need to know microbiology. Physician orders a dressing change. You need to clean the wound. Think about that tummy tuck gone bad that I showed you earlier. The wound's infected. As you prepare your supplies, do you place the cap of the saline in the up position or the down position? And that's going to be dependent upon what are you doing with the supplies once you're done, what the wound is infected with, how you're cleaning it, does it get aerosolized, does it not get aerosolized? So you need to know your microbiology to make those decisions. Anatomy. Why do you need to know anatomy? If your patient is taking the medication digoxin, you need to assess the heart rate and rhythm for a full minute at the point of maximum impulse. Where is that? If you don't know where that is on the body, then you're not going to get an appropriate assessment, and you may end up hurting the patient by giving the medication when they don't need it or not giving it when they do need it. The point of maximum impulse is right where you put your hand when you put your hand over your heart to say the Pledge of Allegiance. The specific title of that or location is called the fifth intercostal space at the left midclavicular line. Okay, you get some information about a new patient coming up to you. They have a left trimalleolar fracture. What part of the body do you anticipate needing to elevate up on a pillow? And the answer is the left ankle. Okay, so what does nursing let you do? Me, I'm a nurse. I'm primarily a wound ostomy continence nurse. I'm also a dean. I'm an instructor. Lots of things that I teach. I teach oncology, neurology, orthopedics, gerontology. I have fun. As a nurse, full-time is considered 36 hours a week, 3 12-hour shifts a week. That leaves you 4 days a week off to do fun things and or to work another job. Working in healthcare can be very, very lucrative. Once you've been a nurse and you have a degree or two for a while, then you can start making up to $150,000 a year. That leads to a very nice lifestyle. You can work 2 jobs full-time for a little while, and then you can pay off a house, you can send people to college. It can be very lucrative. You can really support yourself by going into healthcare. Not all jobs get you $150,000 a year. Some help you to live a very nice lifestyle, and some help you just live your life, which is more than where you were before you went to school. Going into healthcare, you will always have a job. People will always need health. Things that I like to do, I like working with Special Olympics. I've been doing that now for about 7 or 8 years. And I also love working with Girl Scouts and teaching first aid. So let's see. Done sharing. And we'll finish that. So, are there any questions?
Yes, we had a few questions in the chat. One question was for some students that are transfer students. If they are transferring from another college, can they take part in the program?
Definitely. If you've been at any other college, it doesn't matter. Make sure you contact a counselor. See which courses transfer, which courses you don't have to retake, and which courses you will need to take in order to apply to the program. Just because you've been at another college doesn't mean you can't go to any of the health science courses or programs at Rio Hondo. Same with EMT. You can transfer to Rio Hondo College and join the EMT program or the police program, any of the health programs.
Another question was, when will the application period for fall 2021 nursing program open up?
We've already started that process. There is a prerequisite fundamentals course. We offer it once in the spring and once in the summer. We did our application for the spring start for that fundamentals course. That application period is closed. The summer fundamentals course application period is in February of 2021, and that's for the ADN or the RN program. For the LVN program, we only admit once a year, and that's in the fall. For the CNA program, we admit twice a year. The fall application period for the spring start has closed, and we will have a February application period for next fall.
Another student asked, what has been your favorite nursing job?
My favorite nursing job, thank you for asking, has been the ones where I haven't gotten paid. Like I said, working with Special Olympics and working with Girl Scouts. Working with Girl Scouts is really interesting. Little girls really have no filter. When they have a question, they will ask that question. They may not know how to ask it politically correct or in any other way other than just asking the question the way they've learned the words. And so it leads to really good conversations about appropriateness and anatomy and physiology and how to take care of yourself. Special Olympics is really different as well. People with disabilities, intellectual and physical disabilities, often don't have a filter, but they don't know how to ask questions. They just do things sometimes. And so that needs a different approach to teaching health.
Another question is what do we have to take to join the EMT program?
For the EMT program, you need to talk to a counselor about the fire academy. And you do need to take anatomy and physiology. After that, I don't know what else you need to take. That is in the public safety department.
Another question is, do I need to finish all my prerequisite before applying?
Yes. In order to evaluate your application, we need all the prerequisites done so that way we can score them all. Nothing can be in progress. Everything has to be done.
Is there any websites where I can apply to volunteer at a clinic or hospital?
You need to contact the hospitals or the clinics directly. Almost every single hospital has a volunteer department or someone who's in charge of volunteering. If you look on the hospital's website and just type in volunteer in their search bar, you'll find that link and you'll get that information.
Another question is, how long does it take to complete all prerequisites for the nursing program?
That all depends on which nursing program. For the CNA program, there's no prerequisites. So if you have a valid California ID with a picture, doesn't need to be a driver's license, needs to be an ID, and you have a social security or individual tax identification number, you're ready to go for the CNA program. If you want to go into the LVN program, within one semester, you can get the prerequisites done. You just need psychology and you need either anatomy or health science core 60. Both of those are described on the Rio Hondo College website. You can complete those in one semester and then apply in the fall. For the ADN program, you have quite a few more prerequisites. Most people, it takes a minimum of a year. Some people take a little longer, especially if they take one course a semester.
Another question is it possible to get accepted as full tuition, full ride? So pretty much classes paid for, I'm assuming for like the nursing aspect.
At Rio Hondo College, there's no tuition-free process that I know of for nursing, because by the time you get done with your second year of the college promise, that's when you're getting your prerequisites done. If you get into the nursing program at Rio Hondo College, you need tuition assistance, you're going to need to apply for waivers, BOG waivers, Pell Grants, and those will help But I don't think there's any way to completely eliminate all of the tuition.
Another question is what type of incidents do you deal with as being a nurse on a daily?
Incidents like in the hospital?
It just said gruesome, but I'm just reading the questions as they say, but I'm just trying to
Okay.
rephrase them.
So at the hospital, you can run into any kind of situation. A lot of what you do at the hospital is teaching and prioritizing, taking care of patients. There are times when you'll walk into a patient room and an hour earlier they were doing fine, and you find them having difficulty breathing or not breathing at all. And you have to do CPR and you call for what's called a code, and everybody comes and helps. Other situations at the hospital, we have had situations where people have been angry and they have brought weapons into the hospital and brandished the weapons around. There have been other situations where family has been so happy that their loved one is doing better that they've brought in large meals to serve the entire nursing unit and everybody else who's helped to take care of the family member.
It's okay.
There's been all sorts of things, teaching, reaching out, and having somebody finally understand why their actions have led them to not do as well as they thought they should be doing. And they finally turn themselves around and they start to do better. All sorts of interesting experiences.
Another question is there any type of exams before applying to the nursing school / program?
Yes, for the CNA and the LBN program, there's no exams, but the RN program, Rio Hondo College requires that you take what's called the ATI TEAS exam, TEAS. And what that does is it measures your retention of the information from all your sciences, from your English, as well as your ability to do math calculations.
Another question is, can you elaborate more on the ADN RN program?
The RN program, you earn your associate's degree while you're at Rio Hondo College. It's 2 years of nursing courses after you pass the fundamentals course. And while you're in the program, you have a grand total of 40 units altogether of nursing courses. You will go to all sorts of different clinical sites. We've got you going anywhere from Chino all the way out to downtown LA, Children's Hospital Los Angeles, Glendora, we've got some clinical sites. We've got clinical sites in Cerritos and anywhere in between.
Another question is, would you recommend taking physiology and microbiology? Sorry if I mispronounce it. Together or separate?
It all depends on how strong you are with your sciences. Some people do really well taking them at the same time. Some people need to separate them. Remember, you want strong grades in those courses. Those are prerequisite courses, and your application is scored. So if you get an A, you get more points than if you get a B or if you get a C.
Another question is, there are online volunteering opportunities that I have found due to COVID. Would those count as volunteering hours?
If they are with a healthcare institution or working with patients, yes.
So I have a high school senior that wants to know, can they take the CNA program? Is it available for them?
Of course it is. You don't even need to have graduated from high school, but you do need to attend courses. So at Rio Hondo College, the lecture is online. Currently, it's being offered on Tuesdays. Once it goes back to being offered in person, it will continue to be on Tuesdays. And the clinical is either a Wednesday, a Thursday, or a Friday, all day. And it's for 16 weeks. So you'll need to arrange your high school courses to allow you to attend that.
Another question is, does Rio Hondo offer programs that involve the making of medications?
Within the college itself for college credit, no, we do not do any compounding.
Another question is it recommended to take the CNA program if you'd like to study somewhere along the lines of studying to become a pediatrician?
If you want to be a pediatrician, good for you. A CNA program will help you understand better what it's like to work in healthcare, but the CNA program is geared towards caring for people in nursing homes and adults in the hospital. There is no time while you're studying for your CNA that you will be working with pediatrics.
Another question is, what is the average length of the completion time for the RN program?
For the actual RN program at Rio Hondo College is 5 semesters, and that includes the fundamentals course, which introduces you to healthcare. If you go to other programs on other campuses, it may only be 4 semesters because they roll fundamentals into that first semester, and that makes that very first semester really tough.
Another one is, how many students do you accept for the ADN program?
That's a good question. Our typical acceptance is 40 students for the spring fundamentals and 40 students for the summer fundamentals. We are probably only taking 30 students for this spring because of COVID. Our clinical sites have decreased because of COVID.
Another question is, well, a student asked if you could repeat the structure of the CNA program, such as the schedule.
So the CNA program is typically lecture on Tuesdays, whether it's online or in person, and that's for about 3.5, 4 hours. I think that's, 4 hours. And then the clinical, depending on the day of the week, is either 9 or 9.5 hours a week, but it's 1 day a week, either Wednesday or Thursday or Friday, and it's for 16 weeks.
Another student asked, what is the average cost of a nursing program?
For the RN program, it runs, if you include all the courses, all the prerequisites, and your books and uniforms, somewhere around $7,000. If you look at the LVN program, it's quite a bit less. It probably runs around $3,000, and the CNA program, I don't know what the CNA program is off the top of my head. What's 5 times 46? 5 times 50 is 250, plus uniforms and books, so probably around $500.
Another question is, well, I'll probably add, what is the difference between doing like the Rio Hondo nursing programs versus like the for-profit programs?
Oh, for-profit, you pay for everything. For-profit will cost you about $100,000 for an associate's degree.
Thank you. Just wanted to put that one in there. Another one is, where can we apply for the ADN program?
If you're applying at Rio Hondo College, you first need to be a Rio Hondo College student. So you need to apply to Rio Hondo College and get a Rio Hondo College ID, and then go to the Rio Hondo College Health Science and Nursing website and pick which program you want to apply to. Click on that link and it'll tell you exactly what you need to do to apply to the program.
Another question is how are hospitals right now due to COVID, and are they still attending to patients in the hospital? And then I guess also to add to that would be, how is the nursing program at Rio Hondo, I guess, changing the type of training due to COVID?
Oh, good questions. All right, so hospitals are still taking care of patients in the hospital, even with COVID, because there are more patients in the hospital that need help. What the hospitals have done differently is they have turned several of their units into COVID-only units. So if you come in with COVID symptoms If you've tested positive with COVID, those are the units you go to, and only certain employees are allowed onto those units to take care of those patients. The use of personal protective equipment has increased quite a bit while you're in the hospital. Not only for the nursing personnel taking care of patients on the COVID units, but everybody who goes into the hospital. And if you enter a hospital, you need to have a reason to be there. You can no longer visit your neighbor who is in the hospital. You need to be a family member, and family members are limited. Healthcare personnel are limited. Our students are limited to the units that they can go to. They can't go to the COVID units, which is fine. We'll get
Another-
experiences doing other things.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
Another question is, are the ADN and RN programs separate?
Yes, they are separate programs. Let me get back to what is the training we're doing differently because of COVID. Is there are some hospitals that we are not going to because they've completely closed their doors to students. All of our theory is online via Canvas. Canvas is our learning management platform. We are doing all of our clinicals at the clinical sites or on site at school. And we have limited the numbers of students at a time in a classroom or in the lab.
Another question is, do you offer radiological technologist program?
No, we don't, but at, where is it? I think it's Orange Coast College offers radiology tech.
Another question is can you talk about the BSN Bridge program with like Cal State LA and any other schools that we offer it with?
Sure. The BSN program is a collaborative. We have collaboratives with Cal State LA, Azusa Pacific, University of Phoenix, Chamberlain, and we're in process of working one up with Drew University. What happens is when you're in the first year of the associate degree nursing program, when you're in the first part of taking your nursing courses, those schools will make presentations to you and you will send applications to their collaborative program. The applications are reviewed, students are chosen, and then you start working with them when you are on break from our program. They develop their courses to fit the breaks at Rio Hondo College. And you do it with a cohort within whoever you are in class with at Rio Hondo, as well as you join other cohorts from other schools like Cerritos or ELAC or PCC. So that way you are all together and you move together as a cohort. And you join after your first year. And so then your first course usually is in the summer, and you take 1 or 2 courses in the summer, and then you'll take a course in the winter break in your second year, and some more courses once you graduate from your second year of the ADN program. And as Cynthia shared from the Rio Hondo video, she completed her BSN 1 year after she completed her ADN program.
Another program is that the TEAS score to apply to the ADN program is 62%, but what is the average TEAS score for those that have been accepted in the past?
We accept anybody who gets a T score at 62% or higher. Typically, there is no typical. We're looking at the well-rounded student, but I have to say on average, the T score is typically above 70% for those students who get in.
Another question is, are general education classes calculated into the GPA or the core classes for separate GPA?
Both. You get scores for your GE courses and you get scores for the prerequisites.
Is there a specific on age consideration? So if you're an older student for the AD and RN program, like does age have an impact?
Age does not have an impact. For the CNA program, you must be at least 16 years old. We've had people start our program who have been over 60 years old, and they finish when they're 62. We've had even some older.
Another question is, sorry for the repeated one, but can you repeat the cost of the nursing for RN, just like ballpark?
Somewhere around $7,000.
Now, do you offer any requirement or programs for pharmacy technician?
Rio Hondo College itself does not offer it, but through our community education department, there is a school that uses the campus, but they offer the pharmacy technician program.
Another question is, does the 5 semesters of the nursing program include general ed?
No, not at all. You have to have your general ed done.
I think those are all the questions. Students, are there any more questions? And I guess lastly, Dean, would you be able to explain more on like the difference between like if students are debating between going to like a for-profit school in Rio Hondo, and what would you say like being from your perspective of working in the field, like what do you think would be some pros and cons, and maybe especially due to COVID right now with finances being, you know, for some students, it's really determining where they're going to go. If you could explain some of those information, I think that we could benefit the audience, especially who we work with.
My first love is a community college. I'm always going to tell you, go there first. And for good reason. It is the most cost-effective way to get an education. It's $46 a unit. It's not $500 a unit. Differences in the way for-profit schools work in Rio Hondo. At a for-profit school, once you apply to their program and you get in, they make you take their anatomy, physiology, their English, their math, and so forth. So you pay for the whole kit and caboodle, but you're paying quite a bit for each course. As I said, tuition is very expensive. At Rio Hondo College, or any of the community colleges. It doesn't have to be Rio Hondo. It can be any of the community colleges. Mount SAC, PCC, ELAC. We are all at $46 a unit for our tuition. You do have to pay for books, as you do with a for-profit. You do have to pay for uniforms, as you do for for-profit. You do not have to pay to go to a clinical site. That is something that some of the for-profits do. We arrange for the clinical sites. We do make you get your immunizations. You have to pay for that. You have to take care of those kinds of things. You need to do your lab work. You need to do your TB skin test. That's all on top of that. And that is included in your $7,000 cost. We take that into account. With a for-profit, you're more likely to get in quickly. If you're willing to pay for it, you're likely to get in. Some of the other problems with a for-profit is if you don't maintain your grades at a level of B or higher, they will kick you out of their program, and you cannot transfer those credits to a community college because the for-profit programs are not accredited through appropriate accrediting bodies, through the Department of Education. We all prepare you to take what's called the NCLEX, the National Licensing Exam for Nurses. Once you pass NCLEX, you're a registered nurse, whichever state you apply to take NCLEX in. It doesn't matter where you've gone to school. Once you pass NCLEX, you are a registered nurse. So in that respect, we are the same. In other respects, we're different. I have heard, and this is just me personally, from some of our clinical partners that they prefer hiring students who have come through community colleges because the students are stronger and better prepared than the students who come from private programs. We have more clinical time than the private programs have, as well as the students come from the area where they have gone to school. So the students are more invested in making sure that when they apply to work at a clinical site, they come from that area and they want to do well and they want to stay in that area.
Thank you. I have another question. A student's asking if you already hold a bachelor's degree in a different field, will it provide extra points during the ADN application process?
You betcha, at least at Rio Hondo it does.
Another question is, when is the fall 2021 semester application window?
We had the first half of that already done. The summer fundamentals application will be in February. The dates are on our website.
Another question is, which the pros and cons of going to through Rio Hondo or to a direct entry BSN program through a university?
Whichever you can get into. And again, at a university, a little bit more intuition, especially for your GE and your first 2 years of your BSN program. If you can get into an ADN program anywhere and transfer, you're going to save some money.
Another question is, can you elaborate more on your ADN BSN program?
Other than what I've shared, I don't think there's anything more that I can add.
Next question is, what is the wait or what is the average wait time to be accepted into the program?
We don't have a waiting list. If you don't get in with your application, then we ask that you reapply. We print out all those applications, and then at the end of the period, if you don't get in, we shred it and recycle that paper, and we ask you to reapply. If you want to get onto a waiting list, Los Angeles Trade Tech College has a waiting list. So if you meet the minimum requirements and you send them your application, they will keep your application and put you on the waiting list. It will take you, though, anywhere from 3 to 4 years sometimes to get into that program. Currently, they said their waiting list is at 2.5 years.
Another question is, what academic route did you take and how long did it take you?
Oh, me. I got really, really lucky when I was in high school. I got pointed in the right direction and I was able to get into a BSN program early. And by the time I was 21, I had graduated with my bachelor's degree in nursing and my public health certificate, and I was working as an RN.
Another question, is there anything that I can do as a high school student to get ahead and to better prepare me for the nursing program?
Yes, if you haven't already taken anatomy, physiology, chemistry, try to do that. Those courses will not count as college courses, but they will better prepare you for the college courses. You can volunteer. You can get your CNA and start working as a CNA. All those, one, help you with points, but two, give you more experience and let you know whether or not that's the right decision for you.
Another question is, do you require a personal statement or like a letter of recommendation to get into the program?
No letters of recommendation are required. Personal statements regarding certain life experiences. If you look on our website, it takes you through the entire application process. And some of the life experiences that we want you to address, if you can, if they apply to you, with supporting information, are things like disabilities, if you have a learning disability, first generation in your family to attend college, your need to work, disadvantaged social or educational environment, difficult personal or family situations. If you're a refugee, let's see, evidence of an I-94 card. low family income. So do you get financial aid already? Excuse me. Do you get financial aid or do you qualify for financial aid? Things like that. Copies of your income tax to show that you have low income. All those kinds of things help, but that is listed on our website and the documents required are listed on our website.
I know we're going a little bit over time, but one more question is how do you recommend a traditional 2-year RN program versus like an accelerated? Like which one do you would recommend, a 2-year traditional or like an accelerated program?
That all depends again on your strengths and your financial support. If you go through an accelerated program, you're going to need to go to school all the time. You're not going to be able to work. And if you can afford that financially and you can handle that intellectually, great, have at it. If not, and if you need to work, then I recommend the traditional 2-year program.
This is another big question. Sorry. Does citizenship affect your ability to be able to get into to becoming a nurse?
No. What it will affect is your ability to go to school. If you are not a US citizen and you don't have either a social security number or an individual tax number, then you won't be able to get into a nursing program. If you are not a citizen and you have those numbers or a work number from the Social Security Administration, you will pay more for tuition. You will pay out of state non-citizen tuition. And so that might be difficult for you to handle.
I think those are the last questions, students. Thank you
Okay.
for attending the workshop. Are there any last information or anything that you would really want to emphasize for the students? I know we have a mixed group of students, high school seniors, even some transfer students or students that attend other community colleges. So if you have any last remarks.
Okay, if you have questions, go to our website, start there, and we've got links for you to go and ask more detailed questions. And I wish you well. Do well in your courses and keep plugging at it. You'll eventually get there.
Awesome. Well, I really appreciate you making the time to come into this event, especially speaking to our students in this time with with this issue that we're dealing with all as a community. And I really appreciate you and the outreach. On behalf of the outreach team, we really are grateful to have had the opportunity to have this presentation with you. And if there are any other last minute questions, thank you again, Dean Page.
You're very welcome. Thank you, everybody. Have a good afternoon.
Thank you.